We're not really contributing to the economy when you look at output.
You tweeted out later to clarify, Lauren.
Yeah.
Yes, evil does come from women.
Yeah.
Up next, we've got to check in on the notorious anti-feminist YouTuber Pearl Davis, aka JustPearlyThings, who just had a debate with Lauren Chen and Tim Pool that quickly derailed into one of her most unhinged rants yet. I kid you not, she in this debate said that women are to blame for all evil in the world. But before she got into that wild territory, she started with some of her usual talking points that are not as extreme as that, but in my view, just as dumb. Here's the first point she made that I want to respond to.
Right.
And I think right now it's like, we're not really doing much. We're not really having kids. We're not really contributing to the economy when you look at output. So it's like, what do we want it to be, or what is it?
So the thing that frustrates me about Pearl is that, like many leftists, her arguments seem impervious to facts or empirical data. They seem to have zero correlation or correspondence with actual numbers or the reality that we live in. The idea that women aren't doing much in our economy is just objectively not true. Data from the Center for American Progress from 2017 shows that women's labor contributes $7.6 trillion to the nation's GDP each year. To put that in context, that's more than the entire GDP of Japan, by a lot. If all paid working women in the United States took a day off, it would cost the country almost $21 billion in terms of GDP. Oh, and there's a lot of unpaid labor, like being a stay-at-home mom, that doesn't show up in GDP figures. But without them doing that work, their husbands couldn't be working and leaving their kids alone and abandoned. Now, Pearl likes to talk about the fact that men, or mostly men, do a lot of the important jobs, like running the power grid and keeping the utilities on and that kind of thing. And she's not wrong that those jobs are really important and are almost exclusively done by men. But there are many other truly essential fields to our society and our economy where almost all the labor is done by women, or at least a vast majority of it. For example, almost every school and almost every hospital in America would immediately cease functioning if women stayed home and didn't go to work. Pearl just totally discounts the way that women are vital to our society in so many ways. I mean, it's freaking half the population, for goodness sake, as part of this weird gender war. None of this is to discount that men are equally vital, but I don't even understand why we're having this conversation or why somebody like this gets so many millions of views on their videos. So the idea that women aren't doing much in our economy is completely nonsensical and is just fact-free outrage bait. But Pearl brought the even hotter take a little later in this conversation. Take a listen to this.
You tweeted out later to clarify, Lauren.
Yeah.
Yes, evil does come from women.
Yeah, well, because I would just look at every problem in society. It all comes from women.
To be fair, I just realized this the other day, but did you know that Hitler was made by a woman? That proves it.
Well, it's like you look at the homeless. Most of them come from single mother homes. You look at school shooters. Most of them come from single mother homes. You look at criminals, rapists. Most of them come from single mother homes. You look at what happens when women get power. So when men get power, they build societies. They do awesome things. When women get power, we're just not very good with it.
This clip drove me insane. Human beings are fundamentally flawed, and those flaws are the source of profound evil in this world. But that applies equally to men and women. To try to attribute all the evil in the world, or almost all of it, to one gender is so absurd and ridiculous, I struggle to engage with it, but I'm going to do my best to do so. For one, the blame-shifting game that Pearl plays here is perverse and insane. She's all about women being held accountable and responsible for their actions, which I support. I support those values for anyone. But then she jumps through the most insane and ludicrous logical hoops to explain why men aren't actually responsible for their evil deeds. For example, she attributes the evil of school shootings not to the people who chose to carry out a school shooting, not to the men, it's almost always men, who did it, but to their single moms, which is totally insane because 99+% of people who have single moms don't grow up to be school shooters. And those are still individual men with agency who chose to commit a horrible act, and no amount of tragedy or dysfunction in their circumstance or their upbringing justifies that or lets them off the hook for it. That's actually evil. to try to let them off the hook and blame their single moms. Plus, you don't even know why they were single moms. Maybe they didn't choose that. Maybe their man left them and didn't show up for their kid. How is that their fault? And then this insane notion that all men do is build things when they are getting power, and then women just want to destroy things. I mean, sometimes men get in power and build things, but sometimes they also drop nuclear bombs, or massacre innocents, or invade foreign countries. Like, what is your point? Evil is just a part of human nature, and it comes from men and women alike. At the end of the day, and I usually try to avoid saying this, but with Pearl, it's just unavoidable. It's all a grift. If any of you guys still take her seriously at all, I'm begging you to stop. She doesn't respect you. She doesn't respect the audience. She thinks you're gullible and stupid, and panders to you with outrageous statements that she thinks some men might find compelling so she can milk them for views and cash. She either doesn't believe any of the things she's saying or has a room temperature IQ and simply hasn't thought through any of these things or done 5 seconds of research. I don't know what the answer is, but I know either way, it's absolutely ridiculous and delulu. That's just my take, though. You let me know what you think in the comments below.